belong to the workers, and they're there to get the ore out of the ground below the 150-foot mark. Down to the 150-foot mark, depends on those guys with the bags. Now this here is a steam mill. This is the only piece of machinery they used in this mine. It is steam operated, so you gotta have a boiler over here somewhere with a rubber hose hooked to this connection. Your exhaust flows out down to here. You run the cable over a pulley on a tripod like that, hook it to a bucket like so. You turn it one direction, it goes down. You turn it the other direction, it goes up. If you can't figure out how to operate this piece of machinery, I don't want you in the mine with me. Now that square grate over there, that is the main shaft for this mine. Back in the day, that shaft went down 475 feet straight down. 1930s rolls around, the parents are getting a little concerned because the kids are out here playing a lot. Asked them, is there any way you guys can backfill that thing? They did backfill it, but it's still 30 foot deep. I don't know what kind of kids they had in the 1930s, but they must have bounced really well. That's all I have to say on the subject. All right, let's all wander this direction. We will check out the glory hole. Now, Ed told us last week, put your foot right on it. That little road takes you up to the Lucky Cuss mine. Now, after they found the Lucky Cuss, Albert told him if you find another mine, it's going to be a tough nut to crack. Well, we got Tough Nut Street up there. And the Tough Nut mine is right across the ravine over here behind me. Tough Nut has a dinner theater that runs from September to June. Take you 100 feet underground, put you in a room 3 times the length of the football field. They bring actors down there to act out all West characters that lived in Tombstone back in the day. Yeah. And they feed you while you're down there. You get a bowl of chili, cornbread, and cobbler. You also get your choice of coffee or water, a real miner's meal. So if you're interested in something like that, go to goodenoughminetours.com. They got a complete calendar on there. You can order the tickets right there online. All right, everybody, watch your step coming in the gate. Come on in and let your eyes get adjusted.
La comida no va a estar rica. Así, pero la experiencia. Mira el cariño que eso podemos hacer nosotros.
Sí. You guys can come on in here and see the entrance from that side. You can also see the slope those guys had to crawl up to get out of here. That slope continues under the pad we're standing on now and goes down the incline shaft we're about to go down. Got to keep in mind they didn't have the handrail, they didn't have the pad, and they did not have the stairs when the mine was operational. They also didn't have this big old hole in the wall right here. They knocked that hole out so it'd be easier for you guys to get in and out of here. And that way you wouldn't have to crawl up and down that slope over there. You are welcome. Now, before we go down, I got to remind you of a couple other things. Number one, all the wood that's down there is over 140 years old. And we like it right where it's at, holding the world up. So please don't touch any wood while you're down there. Also, oils in your hand can deteriorate rock 10 times faster than normal. So try not to touch any rocks if you can keep from doing that as well. Also, you got to keep in mind the average size miner back then was 5'6". How you doing back there? That's all right. We look out for the tall guys and gals. You'll notice red rocks painted on the ceiling everywhere down there. They call them learning rocks. After you run into a couple of them, you'll figure it out. So keep an eye on those, okay? Also, this is for everybody. If your hat gets knocked off for any reason, bend over, pick it up, put it back on your head, then stand up. Because whatever knocked off your hat is probably still there. And if you don't think these jagged rocks right here won't take a chunk out of your head, I don't know what to tell you. I can tell you we had a guy of average height do that, and he got 12 stitches. So keep that in mind and keep those hats on at all times. Also, they have yellow chains down there blocking off dangerous areas. Do not cross the yellow chain once you get to the bottom of the stairs. They're there for your protection, and they are blocking off very dangerous areas. So for that reason, you need to keep up with me, stay with the group, stay on the trail, take as many pictures as you want, and have fun. All right, everybody ready to head down? Yes. All right, before we go down, I got to show you one more thing. You'll notice a blue-green rock up here. You'll notice some more over there in the entrance over there. This stuff is called chrysocolla. Chrysocolla is a very interesting mineral. When you find chrysocolla, you will find other precious metals close by. So that means if you find this stuff, you are getting very close to gold, silver, and or copper. Chrysocolla is what that stuff's called. You will see it throughout the mine. All right, everybody ready to head down? Yeah. 60 steps down, 60 steps back up. You don't want to take all 60 steps, that's okay too. Skip every other one, it's only 30 that way. All right. We are going to talk about that $4 a day for a second.
Diego, no running.
$4 a day is the equivalent of $100 in today's value. But you got to look at it in the right perspective. A sergeant in the military back then, he's going to make about $15 a month. A good foreman on a ranch, he can make somewhere between $20 and $25 a month. These guys are knocking out $4 a day, 6 days a week. And if they don't want to work, hey, that's fine.
Yes.
Plenty of folks topside would be glad to take that job anytime they don't want to do it. Now, as you head down this inclined shaft, pay attention to this other terminology. The top of the mine is called the back. The side walls are called ribs. The rooms are called stokes. The tunnels are called drifts. And the floor is called the seal. When you get to the bottom of the stairs, you're going to feel the temperature level off. We maintain a nice 68-degree temperature down here, plus or minus 3 degrees all year long. We also never get over 5% humidity down here, so it's always nice down here. So, come down here in the wintertime, we can warm up. Come down here in the summertime, we can cool off. Works out great both ways. All right, keep coming this way, guys. All right up here to your left, right behind me is a drift or a tunnel that goes off at an angle at first, then it turns and it goes directly under 5th Street all the way down, connecting to the Crystal Palace Saloon. Back in the 1950s, the kids found out about it, started sneaking in there, stealing booze out of the liquor cabinet. Once the owner found out, he made them backfill the tunnel 30 yards. Yeah, we got enough people down here right now, we could clean that out in no time. All right, I better get moving, I'm gonna get in trouble. All right, watch your step. A lot of shadows in this area. Keep on coming this way, we will meet in the next chamber.
Cuidado con el techo, güey. ¿No? Diego. Cuidado con la cabeza,
You guys can come over here and line up on the side of the trail. We are going to talk about this rock wall behind me.
Aquí. Diego, no levantes tierra, Diego. ¿Qué tal,
You
güey?
guys can butt up against these guys on that side of the trail.
Hey, ¿cómo te sientes?
No, muy bien. ¿Cómo?
Yeah, just hang out right there on that side of the trail. There you go.
Es como unos proyectos. Diego, no muevas.
You guys can all just bunch up right in this area. We're going to talk about this rock wall behind me. You guys can hang right in that area right there.
¿Eh? Dice que no.
All right, keep coming, guys. The last one? Okay. Got a black rock, comes out of the shadows over here. It goes all the way past this lit area around the corner. Any idea what all this black rock is?
Call.
Yep, give me a hint.
Obsidian.
Onyx.
Yep, silver. Silver chloride is the technical term for it. How come it's black? Because of this brown rock right here, manganese oxide. That is what's oxidizing the silver, turning it black, just like grandma's silverware. Now this flat black stuff back here and that gray stuff, that is all very low grade silver. Very, very, hold on, I'll ask some questions in a minute, okay? That's very low grade silver. When you get up in this area, you see it getting a little blacker, you can see some sparkles in there. Also very low grade silver. This is the edge of the vein right here. The main vein was where we're standing right now. All the good stuff was right here. They determined that this was the side of the vein, and they kept continuing to follow the good stuff. I will show you a little chunk of high-grade silver before we leave so you can compare it to this stuff. But for right now, we're going to talk about that rock wall behind you. I get everybody to take like 2 steps this way and turn around. This is called cribbing or dabbing. This is the way they mine in soft mines and in coal mines. We had a lot of English and Irish miners that worked down here, and this is the way they mined over in England. Now, when they got down here, they did this out of habit. They didn't even think about it. They put the timbers in place, and they start stacking all that useless rock in these intricate patterns all the way to the ceiling. That way you can't just reach in there and pull a rock out. Now, the timbers are in place as an early warning system for the workers. If those things start crackling, moaning, groaning, or humming, that is a good indication something's shifting above you, and it's probably a good idea to get the heck out of here. If the timbers collapse and the ceiling does come down, the rock walls are in place, hopefully to catch the ceiling, and that way they can save a lot of the mine if there is an actual cave-in. Now, once they explain to these guys None of this is necessary down here. This is a hard rock mine and it's carved out of solid rock. You do not need all these extra supports. Once they explain that to them, they quit building them. You look down that direction, you can see some partially built ones. And after that, they just started tossing the rocks off to the side, keep a clear path for everybody to get through. If you don't think it's safe down here, back in World War II, they designated the area we are in right now as a bomb shelter. They had enough supplies down here to take care of 1,200 people. Food, water, and medical supplies. Not sure who was going to invade us here in little old Arizona. Maybe Mexico was mad at us at the time. I don't know, but hey, make you feel a little safer knowing you're in a bomb shelter?
Yeah, suppose so.
4 or 5 of you. All right, that's good. All right, everybody, come on this way. Keep on walking.
Yeah.
Eso va,
Sí.
If you don't mind standing, you can stand in this general area right here. We are going to be turning off the lights, so find a place whether you're sitting or standing, but be comfortable, okay? You guys gonna slide on all the way over. So let's sit down too. There you go.
Mira,
Still got a few more seats if somebody wants to sit down. Otherwise, you need to stand in this general area right here. Don't go past
tomar
the bench.
fotos?
¿Eh?
¿quieres tomar fotos?
Sí.
We're
So
no,
toma la
go
vida.
over there.
I'm just right here, so
I know, but you won't be able to see what I'm talking about. So it's best to stay down here. You're fine. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Got a little math question for you. Every miner comes in, gets 3 candles. Every candle burns for 2 hours. What's the problem?
It's almost there.
10-hour shifts, you betcha. That means you gotta learn to work in at least 4 hours of total darkness. So, how does that work? All right. You bring in your tools. You got your candle holder. You find your supervisor. He gives you your 3 candles and brings you to your workstation. This here is where you're working today. You light your candle and you go to work. All right, turn off all electronic devices, phones, all that stuff, so we can have total darkness in here, okay? Rock right there, everybody see that? Yeah. That is 1 man, 10-hour shift right there. That is at 20 to 22 holes in a 10-hour shift. Now think about this, everything we walked through since we came in this place was chipped out just like that. 1 man at a time, 10-hour shift. Hundreds of thousands of man hours created all this stuff. So, how was all this created? All right, the easiest way to explain that is by using a tree for an example. So you take a tree, a big tree, cut it off at the ground level, chunk the tree. Don't worry about the tree, nobody heard a tree, we're just talking. Everybody calm down, okay? All right, now, we got some stump and a root system left. Let's pretend that's silver. Let's also pretend that rock that Ed found up topside was just a little piece of that stump. All they did was dig through the stump till they depleted all the silver in the stump. Then they followed each individual root or vein until they depleted that as well. That is how all of this was created. There's a hole back behind those folks right there in the wall that had silver in it. Once they got the silver out, they kept on going. This hole up here, it goes up and down. Why? Because that's where the silver took them. Take a couple of seconds, look around at all this hollowed out earth all around you. All of this was solid rock in the 1870s. And about 90% of it was silver. They just followed that black rock wherever it took them. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, questions? Anybody? Yes?
Did they dig from all the way up there?
They dug from up there down, okay? And they dug and continue to follow a vein right here. Another crew came down the way we came down, and they dug up to these guys. So they met in the middle on the same vein. But it was in that area right there. But they did dig down. They didn't dig up. Okay? Yes?
So the timber wood poles, are those original?
Yeah.
They're
Over 140 years old. They all came from the Huachuca Mountains.
Okay.
When Ed sold out his shares of the mine, he kept some stocks in the mine. But he's opened a lumber mill up on the Wachudas, and he started selling all the wood to the mines, making more money off of it. Pretty cool, huh?
So once the explosive went off, they would just pick up all the pieces and put them where, like in barrels?
The
or-
black rock. Yeah, they pick up the black rock
By
and haul it
hand?
up topside. No, they have bags.
They
You
have
get-
ba-
you
oh,
get
they
your
have
leg?
bags? No.
Yeah. Okay, they have burlap bag. They would put 70 to 100 pounds of rock in, and they throw it on their back and crawl out of the hole.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And then the process is up in the mine, like to process it, the rock.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I'll explain how they process it. Turn from the black rock to the shiny stuff that you see in the jewelry stores. I'll explain all that over there. All right. Any questions about anything I talked about up to this point?
Is there any good grade of silver left in this mine at all?
There's tons of silver still down here. Yeah. I'll explain all that too over there. All right. Let's head this direction. We're going to head over to what they call the chapel area. Not sure why they call it the chapel area, but most English and Irish mines, they have a designated area known as the chapel. I'm sure it has religious significance to it. Our chapel area is right up here around the corner. You guys can head right over to the handrail, look over there, and see the next level down.
No, no te pases ya.
You guys can look over the rail, see the next level down.
Ande. ¿Por qué es algo sin uso? Propiedad. No hay casa ni nada, pero eso nunca no hay.
Hey, you can look over the rail, see the next level down.
No hay
This
nada.
is the chapel area. Right here, we are 110 feet below the surface, and we are directly below the Rose Tree Museum. If you don't know where the Rose Tree is, when you get back up there where you bought your tickets, walk right out to the road. That's Tough Nut. You're going to take a left. You're going to go down one block, and it's on the right-hand side of the road. That is where we are right now. We're a block away from where you bought your tickets underground. Pretty cool, huh? Now, since this is the chapel area, they actually do weddings down here. So if you know somebody that wants to get married 110 feet closer to you know where, this is the place right here. They even had a few folks come down here and renew wedding vows. A couple of guys came down here and re-enlisted in the military. And they told me a while back, a couple came down here and got a divorce. And nobody got thrown down the mine shaft, so it's all good. So if there's something you want to do 110 feet below the surface, talk to Robert up there. Maybe he can help you out with that. Yes, sir. You got a question? Okay. You just waving? Okay. All right, look, we're going to head this direction, go around the corner, down the hill a little ways. We are going to show you that little chunk of high-grade silver, okay? I'm probably going to have 8 of you pass me, turn back around, look back where I'm standing, and the rest of you will stop right there. Some of you are not going to be able to see it at first, but once you get down there, you'll be able to see the high-grade stuff, okay? All right, so everybody come this direction. Get you guys to pass the cane on the edge of that light right there. Farther to the light, turn around, and just stay on this side of the trail right here. There you go, perfect. And y'all butt up against him and turn around. Get you guys to turn around right here. Stay on this side of the trail.
Yeah.
And we'll stop right here behind you. You can hold up right here, okay? There you go, right above your head, right here. This is the good stuff. This is high-grade silver. Easily identified by its glossy black color and by all the sparkles it has in it. This is the good stuff. This is what they were looking for. This stuff produces the most amount of silver by weight, and it has the least amount of impurities in it. This is what they were looking for. Why'd they leave that little sliver on the wall? Well, because they were pulling watermelon-sized chunks of this stuff out of here where we are standing right now. They were not worried about that little sliver left on the wall. But it gives you a chance to see what the good stuff looks like. All right, everybody get a good look at it. Head on to the next chamber there. Have a seat on the bench or stand on either side of the bench. And when I get over there, we'll explain how they turn that black rock into the shiny stuff.
Hey, I didn't know like this was.
How cool, huh? Dices como brilla.
Are we underground?
Yes. We're in the secret layer, Leo.
No, we are not.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, this could be a secret lair.
Then you guys cover it with walls and remove all of the walls and put some floor.
Oh, and yes,
Pues te digo que no.
haz para acá. No se tomó bien. ¿Sí? Creo que está más fuerte todo que el mismo.
Sí.
Okay, get you guys back up here a little bit.
No más es así.
Como que es más interactivo esto.
All right here we're going to talk about processing that silver. These rocks behind me are the size of rocks those guys would have been putting in the bags, hauling up topside. This is sandstone and granite. It is not worth anything. That's why it's still down here. But that black rock they would have been hauling out of here by the bag load. They would have dumped it up topside, came right back down, reloaded the bag, and continued to do that through the whole 10-hour shift. Once they got the rocks topside, another crew would load that rock into a special-made wagon that holds several tons. That wagon takes 20 mules or horses to haul it down to the river 8 miles away. They had to go to the river because they had to have the water to process the silver at the time. Once they get down to the river, they unload all that big rock. They put that into a rock crusher. That rock crusher smashes those rocks into rocks this size. This is low-grade silver. You can see the flat black color. You can see the manganese rooted through it. And you can feel how heavy it is. Go ahead and take hold of that. Pass it on around. Once they get the rocks that size, they put them in that ball mill. A ball mill is a giant rock tumbler. And in it, they had cast iron steel balls, just like this one, from 2 inches to 18 inches around, like a bowling ball. These things bounce around in there with those rocks and bust those rocks into gravel-sized rocks, like you'd find in your driveway. Once they become gravel-sized, they fall through the ball mill onto a conveyor belt. The conveyor belt takes it through a smashing process. The smashing process is a long cam above the belt, has multiple arms on it. As that cam turns, those arms come up and down, pulverize that gravel at 6,000 psi, bust it up into a fine powder like flour. Once they got it all busted up into a fine powder, then the separation process begins. They take that stuff and they dump it into a big metal drum of boiling water, about that big around and about that tall. It has 2 long wooden sticks in it that stir continuous, keeps everything moving, so the separation process can take place. At the time, they would also boil in copper sulfide, sodium chloride. You all know what that is, right? Salt. Salt is a very important part of that separation process. Now, at the time, they were also boiling in mercury. The guys working with the mercury were dying within 3 to 5 years. Once they figured out the mercury was killing them, they stopped using the mercury and they started using cyanide.
Oh my God.
A lot better.
Okay. All right, cyanide does not turn to a mist or vapor when you boil it. That's what was happening with the mercury. Those guys are actually inhaling that stuff. It was settling in their lungs, and eventually it was killing them. So that's a good thing. On the other hand, small quantities of cyanide, if you ingest that stuff, can make you extremely ill, and it can kill you. And these guys were not very safety conscious. They didn't have a lot of safety equipment to begin with. So they're getting that stuff on their hands, they're getting it on their clothes, they're taking it home with them, and who knows where. We have no idea how many people were actually affected by cyanide. But I can tell you they still use the stuff today. They just use it in a big, I still use it in an automated system. It goes through several chemical washes, comes out the other end, it's all nice and clean, then you can touch it with your hands. But they still use the stuff today. They just use it in a much safer manner. Real quick.
Yeah, they still use it over at the copper mine in Nacosari. They still use ferrous cyanide.
They still bust it all up and separate, do all that stuff. So it's all pretty much the same. Thousands of years ago, they figured this stuff out. It wasn't something that these guys figured out back then. They've been doing that for thousands of years. But think about it. Back then, they'd just find a rock, bust it up, throw it in boiling water, burn it, do whatever they could to it to see if it was usable, basically. And they figured out how to do the silver, the copper, all that stuff. All right, once they get everything in there boiling and stirring and separating, the heavy stuff sinks to the bottom. the silver actually liquefies and floats to the top. All you got to do is take a ladle, scoop that pure silver out, pour it into a mold, and they make a big ingot out of it, about that big around, about that tall. Looks like a giant Hershey's Kiss. That thing weighs 180 pounds. Why 180 pounds?
So they don't seal it.
Exactly, security. Ain't nobody gonna pick up a 180-pound Hershey Kiss and go run across the desert with it. It ain't gonna happen. No, but seriously, you take one of those and put it on the side of a horse, the horse is going around in circles. You put 2 on a horse, he's sitting down, he's done for the day. If you put 2 or 3 of those in one of those little small buckboard wagons like you see in the Western movies, yeah, that thing's gonna fall apart on you before you get out of town. They are not made for hauling that kind of weight. And whoever came up with the idea was a genius, because in almost 30 years of processing that silver at the river, they never lost a single ingot, not one. I'll ask for questions in a minute, okay? Once they get the ingots made, they put them in another special made wagon, and that wagon takes the 4-mile trip to Fairbank where the railhead is. That 4-mile trip took 10 hours. That's how slow that wagon had to go. Once they get to the railhead, they cross-load all the silver into the railroad cars. They ship it off to New Orleans and they sell it to the U.S. Mint. And those guys, they make coins out of it. So, if you come across an 1880, 1881, or 1882 Morgan silver dollar, it has to have the little O under the eagle's wing, signifying it was minted in New Orleans. All the silver in those 3 years, and only those 3 years, came exclusively from Tombstone mines. 79 and earlier, 83 and later, it's just a conglomeration of all the silver mines all over the United States, all melted together. But those 2-3 years are special. So what does that tell you? It tells me they were pumping enough silver out here those 3 years, they didn't have to buy it from nobody else. And by coincidence, those were the 3 boom years here in Tombstone. 80, 81, 82. They produced more silver in those 3 years than any other time in Tombstone's history. Also makes those coins collector's items. So if you come across one, they ain't cheap. They can run you almost $200 all the way up to $12,500 for an individual coin based on the quality of the coin. So if you find one that's in pretty good shape, got a decent price on it, might want to snag it. It might be worth more than you realize. And I always suggest everybody go home and check out Grandma's underwear drawer. She probably got 2 or 3 in there she forgot she even had. And you little boys, y'all stay out of Grandma's underwear drawer, okay? Okay, all right. Just want to get that out. All right. So is there still silver down here?
Yeah.
Lots. Why ain't they mining? Politics. 1890s, they had 2 presidents, one right after the other. First guy came in, did not like silver for some strange reason. He pulled silver off of the exchange. When he did that, the price dropped to $1.40 overnight, continued to plummet. Congress got involved. They created the Sherman Act. The Sherman Act reinstated silver back into the system. The price came back up, leveled off where it was. Everybody went back to work. All is good. Next guy come in, he's an idiot too. His name's McKinley. First thing he did, he got rid of the Sherman Act. Then he pulled silver off of the exchange. When he did that, those guys sat around and watched the price of silver drop down to 24 cents an ounce. That is what killed silver mining. Not just in Tombstone. All the silver mines in the United States shut down at that point. It wasn't financially feasible to continue to process the silver when the processing fees are higher than the final product's value. That's what killed silver mining. Is there still silver down here? Tons. Literally. If they mined today, it would not be a bunch of guys down here with hammers and chisels. It would be a giant open pit operation. There would be a 1,400-foot hole in the ground where Tombstone used to be, and they just raped the land for all it's worth. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Most of these mines are privately owned. The individual that owns this one is more concerned about the history than he's worried about getting silver out of the ground. So hopefully this place will be here for many more generations, so folks like y'all can come and see how amazingly insane people were in the 1880s. All right, question? Still got a question? Or did I answer? Got it? Okay. Anybody else have any questions? All right, let's head topside. I got 2 more things to show you, and we will call it a tour.
Hay más heladito para nada.
And also non-precious nuts.
Uy, mira, esta madera, 140 años.
It's going up. Silver is going up right now.
If you use it, you spend it, then you gotta pay tax on it. So if they have a tunnel that's abandoned, they just go on and tunnel with that stuff. And they keep on going, they mark it, they know where it's at, if they need it, they can actually pull it out, they can use it for investments later on. That way they don't have to go borrow from the bank or something like that. But when they find it, if they're not utilizing it, they stockpile it, they don't process it or anything. All right, this is that vein we looked at when we first came in. That takes us over to where we lit the candle. So we almost made a tombstone block underground. All right, let's get on out of here.
Ya vinimos aquí, mi amor.
Ya vamos para arriba.
Entonces a comprar una mina para tener nosotros. Así para usarlo, así para nosotros.
Sí, sí.
For us. ¿Qué suave?
All right, let's get on out of here.
Ya. Todo de salida, mi amor. Do you like it, Sofia? Yeah, but it's gonna be hot outside.
La de Visa está más helada.
¿Sí?
It's very safe.
These railroad ties, when they go this there?
Yep. Rails, yep. All right, we got one of those ingots here on the other side of the handrail. That is made out of concrete. If it was solid silver, it'd be 180 pounds. Gives you an idea how big those were. That only weighs about 50 pounds because it's just pure concrete. All right, any idea what this piece of machinery is? It is a modified minecart. Now it is a portable toilet. Put your feet right here, you put your seat right here, and it's a two-holer, so you got company. Guy that operated that got $5 a shift, and at the end of the shift, he had to go down there with a bucket and ladle, scoop all that magic stuff out, haul it topside, and dump it way away from the hole. You do not want that smell down there. It'd be like working in a septic tank. And those guys would have been suffering from a lot more health problems than they already had to deal with. So, very important piece of machinery, even if most of those guys didn't even know it.
Create methane gas, right?
Yeah, they have a little door down here. That's what the knob is right here. So if they do their business, then they turn that back and it kind of keeps it contained. And then when they're rolling around and stuff. But yeah, they tried to hold it down as best they could. Now, you ever heard the saying, don't yank my chain? That's because of these things right here. You were just down there. Nothing is level. They do not have a track system. They have two small tracks that are portable. They move the track, roll the cart. Move the track, roll the cart, till you find somebody that needs to do their business. When you find somebody, they have taken one of these timbers here, cut it off about that long, attached a chain to it, and they jam it between the two wheels. Keeps it nice and stable while you're up there doing your business. You got a practical joker in your group, he decides to yank your chain. Yeah, you get to go for the crappiest ride of your life. So, smart guy makes the announcement before he gets up there. Do not yank my chain, and I am not messing with you guys. That would usually work. Okay, usually. All right, any other questions? All right, that concludes our tour. I hope you guys had a really good time. If you did have a good time and you want to get on TripAdvisor and leave a nice comment, my boss will be ecstatic, and my name is Buck. If you didn't have a good time, my name is Troy. Also got a little tip bucket over here. If you want to leave a nice gratuity, it will not be shunned upon. Thank y'all very much for coming. Enjoy the rest of your day in Tombstone, and please, please have a safe trip home. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
¿Está suave?
Ya te vas a desmayar un rato.
I was wondering if you can mind a diamond.
Sí. No con diamond thing, con gems.
Son gems, ¿no? Okay. Ni parece que hay una mina aquí, ¿verdad?
No, hombre. Yo no sabía. I had no idea.
Yo sabía que había una mina, pero no sabía que era tan así.
10 feet away from the surface? No.
No, we were 100 feet underneath the surface.
Déjale, digo, hasta que se suelte. Ya se soltó una. A ver, let me see it. Oh, no, that's one. You don't want that. You want rocks. Like this.
Having fun, Sofia?
It's hard.
So,
Al otro lado, Diego, mira. Haz esto, mira. Así. Ahora para acá. Así. Pégale así. Ajá.
I got some. Can you put it in there?
a ver, what did you get? Let me see. Ooh.
Can you just take it out with our hands?
A ver. Let me see. Présame ese.
Can we just
There's
take
one
it?
right here, look.
Mira.
Can we just take it out with our hands?
No, but it's stuck. It's stuck. Let me see.
Wait,
There. Get it. Get it.
¿este ya estaba suelto?
Good job, Diego.
¿Bolsita?
¿Tu bolsita, Diego?
Mi bolsita.
Ay, aquí está.
Oh, good job. Put it in your little
Ponlo ahí. ¿Es un steak?
Sí.
Sí.
Oh, shucks. Mira, ahí está Sofía.
Ah, Diego, ¿quieres que te saque una, Diego?
Concha del mar, mira.
Diego.
It's so hard because I can't.
A ver,
Need to hold
baby,
my
ayúdale.
bag.
Ayúdale, Diego.
I need to hold my bag when it's so hard.
Toma.
See, es el mar. See, it smells like the ocean.
Sí, cierto.
A ver, Diego. ¿Quieres que te saque una yo?
Mira, es el mar.
Mira, aquí hay una, mira. Esta, mira. Y es una aquí arriba.
¿Y mi bolsita?
Aquí está. Ok.
Oh, do you mind if you put some in here?
Ya.
Can I also hold this?
Joder.
Can I also hold this?
A ver, te ayudo. Así, así. Otra vez.
Eso, fuerte, fuerte. Mira, Sofía, esta
Good
que
job,
bonita
Diego.
está. Esta.
Can I dig it up?
Sí, tú, dig it up. Aquí está tu
Ahí está
bolsita.
tu bolsita.